Okay, so I'm going to continue forward working on this animation. Let's go ahead and look at where we were. Get that key, a little bit further push on the animation. So this drag as we transition in, up to there, down, overshooting, and that. So I'm still a little unhappy with how this transition is working. So I'm going to kind of just tweak around with it, kind of make the arc for everything just work a little bit better. So what I want it to feel like is it's kind of coming down, sinking in, and sort of pushing up. And so it's not really feeling like that to me. So I'm just going to kind of keep tweaking around on stuff. Maybe make it feel a little bit more like the head hasn't followed through yet. This has also got some just ugliness to the pose, so try to see if I can clean it a little bit. So let's watch the arm. The arm's doing some weird things here. So let's sort of think about what it is we want the arm to do. And so we want the arm to kind of feel like it's sort of flipping downward, dragging down like this, and then maybe, yeah, so what it's kind of doing, it's kind of hitting a wall right there, sort of stopping. So maybe that's part of what's missing. Maybe this arm needs to sort of follow through backwards, like, oh, a bit more like, I don't know what's happening there when I do that, but so maybe a little bit more like this. And so if we step through this pose now, maybe, so this is me just kind of troubleshooting the pose as they transition. Okay, so that pops back up to there a little too quick. So maybe what we actually have is the arm continuing to stay back even longer, and then it kind of comes up toward the end. So if we look at it now, it's like it swooshes through and then kind of settles in at the end here, with a little bit of an overshoot too as it comes forward. Now this is something that I think needs a little work. It's got a lot of ugly stuff going on in the poses here, so right now I'm kind of just going through and cleaning them up and making sure that they make sense as to what is happening in the body. So it's hitting there, and then maybe it's kind of doing an opposite thing. It's kind of coming back up. So maybe a little bit like this. So maybe I'll do a little bit more with the with this hand. Maybe a little bit something like this. Just trying to get a little bit of a different feel to this. Okay. And let's see how this is feeling. So we need a little bit of something that kind of shows that in this pose, sort of shows the transition from sort of this up to this sort of back down. And so right now it just kind of feels a little bland. So I think we can just kind of build a little bit of that drag into the pose as it kind of settles back. Okay, so now if we watch this, I have a feeling it's going to feel a little bit better. I also want this to dip right here. Right now it's just kind of moving forward. I think I want it to dip down a little bit, like it's giving one last dip right before the launch. And so we may have to roll this up on the heel a little bit more, and maybe even continue to squash them down just a little bit more. So what we'll end up getting is a little bit of a pop upward. I don't know if I could stretch that out just a touch more too. Just kind of exaggerate it. Okay. So I wonder if what this needs, we're going from here to here to here. I wonder if what this pose here needs is actually a little bit more drag in parts of the body. So right now, we're going from completely stretched out, which I think we could even probably amplify a little bit more. Something like that. Some of this hand stuff is feeling a little, it's getting tangled up. Let me pause this and answer my phone. Sorry about that. Somebody wanting to know if I wanted a lower interest rate on my credit card. All I had to do was give them my mother's maiden name. And anyway, I'm back now. Let's kind of worry a little bit more about this pose, make it feel a bit more natural and less obtrusive. Maybe a little bit of something like that. Alright, so I'm just kind of playing with it and getting it, yeah, it's feeling a little better. Nothing says that the hands have to be in these like palm poses either, though. We could also sort of put them in fists or something like that. I am unhappy with the way this neck is working, though, I have to say. It's just not what I want. A little bit more like that, then I can actually straighten the neck back up. Maybe pull the head up a little bit. Just acting weird. Getting some really inconsistent curves through there. So maybe something like that. Okay. So now back here, we're kind of starting to squash down here. But I think we can actually drag some of the upper body in this pose. So let's sort of rotate back here. Maybe a little bit more like this. This. And so what we're going to end up getting is a little bit more of this, like the head and the upper spine maybe are dragging behind a little bit. So maybe something like that. Sorry. And just going to make sure that's kind of clean on all angles. Something like that. And now let's see how it plays. Yeah, that's feeling better. Okay, so what I'll need to do now is kind of make the character take a step back here in this section. So what we're going to do is we're just going to set a new keyframe on everything. Hit S there. And so we can actually make that step happen. So again, this foot has to come off the ground. Right? So I literally have to shift the character's weight to make sure we get that foot off the ground. Now it could just be ever so slightly or subtly. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit like this. And then lift this foot just a touch. Sorry, it's my wife. And so I'm just kind of picking. Hold on a second, let me tell her I'm recording. So I want to do a little bit more like this to kind of lift the foot. So what we're going to get is this feeling is the character kind of shifts forward a little bit and then settles back in on it. So you're going to see that? Kind of. And so we can just add a little bit to that if we want to. Just to kind of change up the pose a little bit. So I'll actually drag this hand as it moves backwards. Do a little bit more to the fingers for that as well. Thumb, I'll do the opposite. So that. Okay, so that's feeling a little bit more like it. Now, see that the foot hits here, but then it kind of slides back a little bit more. So I'm just going to take that slide out by copying frame 19. And so now if we watch this, so it's not bad. Now, what some people will do is anticipate their anticipation just a little bit. So like what some people will do is something like, let's say we'll grab everything on this key, like 17, set a keyframe there and nail it down, and then they'll just push this one just a touch more right before it. So maybe just a little bit like that. And just kind of exaggerate this pose just a bit right before the character launches itself forward. Right. Push it back a little bit. Squash it down a little bit more. And so what we get there is just sort of this little bitty that before it sort of pops back. And so here, I think we can still kind of continue to push the character. Maybe we could push it down just a little bit more right in here. Okay. And the only other thing I would do is maybe on this pose here, I would drag the foot, do a little bit of this toe roll. Wait, where is that? It's toe up and down. Sort of drag that a little bit and give it a little bit more personality. And so now if we watch this, that's feeling a lot better. So let's go ahead and watch it. To me, it still feels like the character kind of pops back there and kind of hits a wall. Okay, so we'll kind of deal with that once we get to the sort of the cleaning up the line of action video, not the line, the curves video. But yeah, see that kind of like falls back and just sort of stops. I think we'll ease into that a little bit more. And we could do that with a breakdown key if we wanted to. But I think we're just going to have to adjust some curves to get that working exactly the way we want to. So I think I can keep going here a little bit. So, no, but I'm going to go ahead and stop, and we'll record this as a separate video. So, talk to you soon.